Now where did I put this? Is it this one? Nope. No, not that one. No. Oh, here it is. Oh shit, that's the wrong one. Oh, here it is. Not too long ago, here on YouTube, there was a boy. His name, VeryWise. He was a regular guy. He had a job, a lass, a normal life. But without realizing, he took a dangerous path, cursing him to chaos and destruction. But even within the chaos he found himself in, there was a glimmer of hope. Like a ray of sunshine poking its head from the character creation screen. A revenant. He held his frail hand towards it. "Help me," he whispered with a tremble in his voice. The revenant, being a curious creature, reached for the hand that was pointing his way.
Where am I? Am I dead? Am I still alive?
Those aren't the questions you should be asking. On my ass.
Oh,
Who am I?
who am I? I'm time! I'm literally time!
And this is how my new character was born. A human, a revenant, a soulmate. So it's a bit obvious, but I hated the elementalist from the last episode, and instead of growing a pair and sticking to it until I learn how to actually play it, I decided to make a completely new character as it seemed like the easier option for me, and I'm all about shortcuts, baby. Do you think I made the right choice? Let me know in the comments down below. Just a few things before we continue our story. Rules from the previous episode still apply, and also between this episode and the last we've done quite a lot of fractals, we've done a few strike missions, and we've leveled up 5 more professions to level 80. We're currently sitting on 120 gold and 6200 achievement points. We'll continue our story from season 1, right after the personal story where we ended Zaytan's rule over the undead. If you've missed part 1, you can always check that one first, or if you want a more detailed story, you can check Wood and Potato's channel as he has a more in-depth take on the story. And with that said, let's get right into the story. Not long after the fall of Zaytan, I was asked to meet... hello? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I got it. So I've just gotten a call from the YouTube algorithm team, and I've been told that I need to ask you to subscribe and like the video, or whatever, I don't know. So, yeah, I'll just start over then. Not long after the fall of Zaytan, I was asked to meet with Ritlock at the Black Citadel. There have been attacks all over the southern Shiver Peaks. Dirge and Flame Legion working together, calling themselves the Molten Alliance. On my way there, I ran into a char named Rox. She was trying out for Ritlock's warband, so he ordered her to retake a recently captured hatchery from the Alliance. I volunteered to tag along to see if I can get a better grasp of the situation. I went straight to Ritlock's office afterwards, where he was already with an unfamiliar face called Bram. His village was being threatened by the Molten Alliance. Ritlock rejected his request for help, as they are overwhelmed and can't spare any troops. He claimed to be Ear's son in an attempt to win our favor, but that didn't work on neither Ritlock nor me. Hopefully, he'll get some better news after speaking to Newt Whitebear. Rox and I arrived at the hatchery, where the Alliance was using some sort of sonic emitters to incapacitate the Devourers. And if that was just a taste of the weapons they're fusing, the Dirge and the Flaming Legion are going to be far more destructive team than we ever imagined. After we destroyed the emitters and rescued Ceto, he gave us a key to travel further into the facility. We put down one of the Alliance's leaders inside, a Dirge named Marat. With Marat down, the attack was quelled and we were able to reclaim the hatchery. The Moten Alliance is taking prisoners, but where and for what purpose? That's for us to find out. Ritlock asked me to check on Braham's situation. The Moten Alliance has been striking small villages throughout the Shiver Peaks, including Braham's home. Even though a raid was imminent, Newt was reluctant to sending any reinforcements. They've got enough of a refugee crisis on their doorstep, same as the Char in the Citadel. Given the way things escalated at the hatchery, I volunteered to join Braham in fighting back. We managed to rescue some of the homesteaders, but a few of them were taken prisoners. We don't know where they're taking them yet, but finding their base is next on our list and the Vigil is hot on their trails. The Order of Whispers partnered with the Vigil and have an undercover spy as a Flame Legion, gathering intel on their goals and whereabouts. She's been leaving dead drops all over the countryside, and that's where I come in. With the dead drops now in hand, the Order was able to determine the location of the Moten Alliance base. They've been operating out of an old Dirge mine right beneath our feet. With the help of the Vigil and Order of Whispers, Bram, Rox and I infiltrated the Moten Alliance base. We fought our way to the weapon testing facility first, and after destroying it, we made our way deeper into the mine. We encountered a few survivors along the way, but there were still more prisoners deeper into the mine. As we made our way into the heart of the base, we were ambushed by two Moten Alliance warriors, Rodion and Gygark. We managed to take them down, but we almost went down with them. After the fight, Bram and I planted bombs around the mine, while Rox secured our exit. We escaped by the skin of our teeth, but at least we left behind a huge mess. I regrouped with Braham in Hjolbrak to report back to Knut and Ear. Rox was already hands-on with her interrogations when I got back to the Black Citadel. Ritlock isn't ready to welcome her to his warband yet, but after everything I witnessed at the hatchery and mine, I can tell Rox is a good one. A little wary, but she's sharp, and with the way things are escalating, we'll need more allies. Tonight, we celebrate, even if all we're celebrating is a moment of rest. Out of the blue, an elusive benefactor named Eve wrote and directed me to the effigy ceremony at Dragon Bash, stating that the ceremony might be threatened. Without hesitation, I went to the ceremony, as even being a small lead to something, it was a lead nonetheless. As the cultural representatives approached the effigies with their offerings, one of the dragon effigies erupted with arcane energies, emitting an electrical current that struck the captains on stage. With the help of our Lion Guard, Inspector Elon, Kiel and I escorted the wounded to Fort Meria. Along the way, we were harassed by a group of Scropiar pirates. Between this and the Moten Alliance, I feel like something is brewing. Another letter from me today. Captain Theo Ashford succumbed to his wounds after the attack on Dragon Bash. The festivities are ongoing, so the Lion Guard are desperate to keep this investigation under wraps. E recommended that I stop by the Dead End Bar in Divinity's Reach to meet with Detective Marjorie Delacroix. Never heard of her, but E's intel is good, so I headed her way. I ran into Logan Thackeray inside the tavern. He was already speaking with Marjorie about the case. She was accompanied by Lady Kashmir Mead, Marjorie's assistant. Ashford's family is looking into the incident, and Marjorie and Kashmir agreed to help. Some of the cultural representatives fled the scene following the attack. Since Marjorie considers them all suspects, she tasked me with bringing them back to Lion's Ark for questioning. Now with the suspects returned to Lion's Ark, I regrouped with Marjorie at the scene of the crime. It turned out it was one of the onlookers called Matrin all along. She's apparently the leader of those ragtag pirates calling themselves the Ether Blades. Unfortunately, Matrin fled the scene before Kyo could make an arrest. Turns out they were hiding in Lion's Ark all along, tucked away in a cave southwest of the city. Looks like Kiel and I know where we're headed next. We infiltrated the Ether Blades base and managed to fight our way inside, where we ran into an Asuran scientist named Frez. Unbelievable that a bunch of pirates managed to erect an entire inquest laboratory inside of the cave, especially this close to Lion's Ark. Matrin and her first mate, Horik, were hiding in the center of a maze inside, waiting for us to arrive. We fought hard and were victorious, and with her now in custody, maybe we'll figure out who's behind this whole mess. She mentioned someone named Scarlet back at the hideout. Maybe that's our best lead? I was invited to attend the Queen's Jubilee, where I met up with Rox and Braham to watch the festivities. Queen Jenna used the fanfare to introduce her Watch Knights, gilded mechanisms crafted to protect the people of Divinity's Reach. Midway throughout the demonstration, the Watch Knights malfunctioned and started going haywire, leaving Logan overwhelmed and the crowd distressed. Before we could intervene, the Ether Blades ambushed us. There was a hooded figure that drew our attention, mocking us from a distance, but nevertheless we were victorious. Despite the attack, a few days later the closing ceremony for the Queen's Jubilee was held. Even with the city on high alert, we were attacked and the hooded figure from before revealed who she was. Scarlet Briar was her name. She gained control of the Watch Knights, employing them as her muscle in the hostile takeover of the Jubilee. We had to evacuate the city, and while Divinity's Reach was occupied with Scarlet's invasion, her clockwork beasts were tearing up the lands outside. I had to travel to Genderan Fields to help regain control over the countryside. After that, we were able to take the fight back to Scarlet. She filled the crowd pavilion to the brim with Ether Blades and her horrific clockwork creatures. First, we located some of the captives. While Rox and Bram tended to the survivors, I made my way towards the apex of the arena where I finally confronted Scarlet. She almost succumbed, but ended up fleeing the city for her own safety. Between the events in the Shiva Peaks, the tragedy at Dragon Bash, and the lives lost in Divinity's Reach, Scarlet might sit at the center of it all. I can only hope we are prepared for her next strike. Marjorie called my attention to Kessex Hills, where a Tower of Nightmares has emerged. It's surrounded by a thick plume of toxins, and we can't get inside until we have some way to do it safely. Marjorie tasked me with collecting toxic spores from across the region. With the antitoxin in hand, we were able to enter the tower. A group of adventurers and I navigated the treacherous maze of endless corridors within the tower. At the heart, Scarlet showed herself and admitted the Nightmare Tower is simply one of her cruel games. She fled before we could do something, and even though we were able to clear the way to the heart, giving us an opportunity to inject the antitoxin, the tower continued to corrupt Kessex Hills with toxic spores. No matter how many doses we injected into the heart, the tower stood tall. We found a secret room filled with Dirge, Flaming Legion, clockwork and all kinds of devices located near the heart. We were able to extract various materials from the devices, and when combined, they created a magical anti-barrier compound. We injected the new mixture into the heart of the tower. The new compound shattered the heart's defenses and allowed the antitoxin to take its toll. The tower began to collapse, and Kashmir managed to conjure us a portal to escape to the shore of the lake, where we watched the whole thing crumble to the ground. It feels like we've made a real blow to Scarlet's plans today. I regrouped with my friends back at camp, where Kashmir and Marjorie were finally acquainted with Bram and Rox. They got on well, bonding over the shared experience of combating Scarlet's various schemes to date. Not long after, I received a priority message from Logan Thackeray about a developing situation in Lorner's Pass. Scarlet's latest handiwork was wreaking havoc as part of Deadly Weapons test. When I arrived, Bram, Rox, Marjorie and Kashmir were already fighting against this abomination. There was unsupervised prodigy named Taimi. She charged into battle before I could stop her. To my surprise, Taimi and her golem proved themselves a capable duo. Eventually, we forced Scarlet to pull her broken toy back to repairs. The others headed to Lion's Ark to recoup. Ritlock Brimstone ordered Rox to kill Scarlet Briar as her final test to secure a spot in Ritlock's Stone Warband. Taimi suspected that Scarlet's plans were somehow tied into the Elder Dragons. Marjorie requested my presence at the Dead End Bar to help figure out Scarlet's endgame. Considering Scarlet's gathering armies, airships and equipment, probes searching for ley lines, assassinations, we came to an alarming conclusion. Scarlet Briar's next target must be Lion's Ark. Then came the fateful day to Lion's Ark that would be known to all who called it home that day. After the surprise attack from the skies, molten and toxic Alliance infantries began to swarm the city. The molten Alliance burrowed up through the ground, and the toxic arrived by sea. As the invasion progressed, a grand flying platform entered Sanctum Harbor from the skies. The machine began to drill into Lion's Ark. A few hours passed as the factions continued to overwhelm the Lion Guard. They decided to desperately hold rally points within the city as citizens escaped to nearby refugee camps, the most prominent being in Vigil Keep, Baldermouth Vale, and Stormbluff Isle. As the invasion continued, the factions began to unleash a miasma similar to the one surrounding the Tower of Nightmares, forcing everyone to retreat. In the Baldermouth Vale camp in Lorne's Pass, Kashmir and Marjorie waited until the miasma dissipated. As the days passed by, the miasma was pushed out into the Sea of Sorrows by the wind. The Lion Guard were able to regroup with the three orders to storm into Lion's Ark to establish rally points and take the fight to Scarlet. Without the miasma, the allies were able to regain ground closer to Scarlet's drill mechanism, the Breachmaker. Rox, Bram, Kashmir, Marjorie and I cornered Scarlet in the lower depths of the Breachmaker and were able to defeat her and one of her marionettes. In the chaos, Bram ended up with a broken leg. Rox, instead of choosing to end Scarlet's life and enter Ritlock's warband, chose to stay with her injured friend instead. Scarlet began to ask if any of us wondered why she began all the chaos and destruction, but nobody was willing to listen. With the help of illusions, Kashmir was successful in distracting Scarlet long enough for me to deliver the killing blow to our sworn enemy. In her dying breath, the Sylvari exclaimed that we were all fools in thinking her death saved us. Over her decaying body, the machine turned blue as the drill struck the ley line energies. Under the Breachmaker, blue light poured into Lion's Ark as a line of light was seen moving into the outlying regions. The line of light continued to the Thermonova reactor and beyond. The light continued downwards as a pair of enormous teeth began to open. The Breachmaker reached critical mass and soon spiraled out of control and exploded. In the following weeks, the new Lion's Ark that we know today had started taking shape. Meanwhile, within the dead-end bar in Eastern Commons of Divinity's Reach, me, Kashmir, Marjorie, Rox and Bram had a celebration of our victory over Scarlet Briar. Later on, Timey entered the bar to join us. She explained that the Pact believed that Scarlet's drilling aroused the dragon and what we heard throughout Tyria was a dragon's cry. After a while, Marjorie's big sister Belinda joined us. She mentioned she is leaving for an expedition in Brisbane Wildlands where a group of black market traders have been disrupting the economy of Divinity's Reach. And there it was, our group sitting and enjoying each other's company in these fragile times. Was our story coming to an end, or was this the birth of a bigger threat? We'll have to see in Living World Season 2. We are concluding our episode here as a revenant at the end of Living World Season 1. Thank you all for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you in Living World Season 2. But until then, be wise. Very wise.